Once again, I'm being serenaded by the song of two male skylarks. The skylarks provide a rather tenuous link to the subject of this video, because skylarks are ground nesting birds, and that nest is usually located, usually tucked away in a hollow maybe, but under the base of a clump of grass, so which there's lots of grasses behind me, as you can see. There's one particular grass though which you can't see here that will bring back many memories, especially if you're of a certain age and were a child in the late 60s and during the 1970s. This is something that's gone out of fashion, and it's a plant that's really gone out of fashion, and yet you probably don't have to travel too far in order to see it. It's this one. Many of you, especially those that are of a certain age and of the male sex, will immediately know what I'm going to talk about, because this is a plant that certainly brings back those childhood days, and there's nothing wrong with reminiscing and thinking back. It's nice when you can think back, when you still are here to think back. But you're probably wondering, why would a grass ever provide and instill such a memory? Well, we used to throw these. This is wall barley, I believe it's called. But we used to pick these whenever we saw them on the way home from school, because this plant would grow up against a wall or at the bottom of a lamp post or telegraph post. Anywhere where it could get a hold of, this grass would grow. And these we used to take off and we used to throw them at people. There was nothing dangerous in it. We didn't need health and safety to come round, and it was just pure childhood fun. Still is, although it's a lot more fun if you've got somebody with a sort of thick Aran jumper on to throw them at, because this would stick. And sometimes you'd gang up on somebody that was walking home, some poor unsuspecting child that had got a thick woolly jumper on, and you'd throw loads and loads of these at him. Say, no harm was done. Child wasn't traumatised. We didn't get traumatised in them days. But I mean, you could even break them up into smaller bits. So from out of one seed head, you could add 3, 4 or 5 or 6, if you was particularly dexterous and dainty, little arrows that when you threw them, they stuck to the victim's jumper. You never see kids do it nowadays. They throw things like bricks rather than grass. Pure, harmless childhood fun, all contained in a grass. And say this, I believe, is more or less an annual, or perhaps just about perennial grass, and it grows where the ground is often bare and dry and hard, up against walls, or say at the bottom of trees, at the bottom of lampposts. It will grow rather untardily up against them. But it's a very attractive grass. If this was a definite perennial and formed clumps, the horticulturists would be killing over these. But this was just one of those things that we did back then. And I know a lot of you will be sat there now going, yeah, I remember throwing them. You'll probably know your victim. But unlike the seeds of burdock and other plants, these just pulled off dead easily. They left no residue behind, no stickiness. Just the things we used to do. Things from a long since gone carefree childhood age. If only someone was to walk past. Trouble is, I'm in the middle of nowhere. I'll have to try and find or wait for a willing victim to come along. And then surprise them and bombard them with this. Hours of endless fun we had throwing these. And every time I see it now, see it growing the side of a pavement or in some little scruffy corner of a street, it takes me back 50 odd years. And I must admit, there's a little part of me that would still like to pull them and throw them at an unsuspecting passers-by. So that's wall barley. Maybe coming to a jumper near you. Oi, do you mind? They don't all throw well.